This week, we have a new moon in Libra, but this new moon, which occurs very early on Tuesday, October 21st, and is active for the next 2 weeks, this new moon is extra special. The moon and the sun are in aspect to exalted Jupiter at this time, and Venus is also here in Libra, her home sign. So there's so much that makes it especially beautiful. And there are ways to lean in and really maximize the potential here. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Also, I want to do a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat and I will check that at the end of this report. And I also have a question for you as well about an idea that I had for the future of this channel. So whether you're watching this live or later, I would love for you to stick around and hear that question and let me know what you think. And if you have any other ideas, we'll talk about it then when we get there. Okay, let's start with this new moon in Libra. Let's go ahead and get it on the chart. I'm going to circle. I'm actually going to use the magnifier for a change. I feel like we never get to use the magnifier. And I'll probably regret it because I do also want to talk about Venus that's over here in Libra. You know what? I don't want to use the magnifier for that very reason. It's going to cover up Venus. So we have our new moon here. When the sun and the moon come together in a sign, that is the new moon. So I've added that to the chart, and there is a lot else going on here, as we can see. We have an opposition across the way to Chiron. We spoke about that in the report for the weekend, and this T-square with Jupiter. I want to add that in and sort of speak about that as well. But I think we should just start with the new moon all by itself. And then we're going to add in some of these other configurations because you can see as well, Mercury and Mars are conjunct here right now in Scorpio, which is a super powerful signature. And they're making a connection over to the North Node in Pisces. We have these water trines sort of starting to think about forming right now, and it's interacting with that T-square. So there are a few other things to put on the chart. Let's just start with talking about this new moon in Libra a little bit. First of all, I just want to mention that we are in a place now where we've had that lunar cycle switch. And so the new moons are coming at the end of the signs rather than at the beginning. So we have a full moon at the beginning of Libra season, and then we have a new moon way at the end. So this week we also have the sun moving into Scorpio and the beginning of Scorpio season. So we have this Libra new moon, the sun and the moon meeting up together at the end of the sign. And this is a cycle that switches. It's very normal. You have it either one way or the other. And I think what's most important about this to say is that I think it's even more essential that we really utilize the new moons as a time for a little bit of peace, a little bit of rest and quiet and processing before the end of the sign. So full moons, the sky is illuminated, it's bright all night. It's a great time to connect with others, to stay up late, to make things happen. The full moon is a party. The new moon is quiet. It is the darkest night of the season. And you go to bed a little early. You have a little time by yourself. There's something contemplative and quiet about it. The energy is a little different depending on which we have first and which we have second. Having the new moon at the end of the sign like this, I think it's even more important to sort of observe it in that way. So I wanted to say that. I think obviously it's the week. it's We have a week ahead of us. There's not really that much time, but carving out a little quiet where you can, maybe saying no to a social plan here or there, maybe deciding not to engage in a conversation that's going to be really, really difficult until next week. Who knows? In some way, carving out and protecting a little time, a little peace for yourself this week might be really helpful. New moons are also about planting seeds in the Libra part of the chart. So full moons, the seeds that we planted 6 months ago, we can sort of see what our efforts have yielded. And at new moons, we have a chance to be intentional about the seeds we're planting, the intentions that we're setting in this part of our life. So if you know your chart, if you know your rising sign, and you know where Libra falls for you, or you know planets there, it might be interesting to think about what seeds you want to plant there for the 6 months ahead, what your intentions are, where you'd like to go. And just being aware that during the time of a new moon, the way that we're speaking about ourselves, about our lives, the way we think and feel in that stillness, it's kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say influential or important than usual. I'm not exactly sure what the word is, but it's a little bit more, I guess, important than usual to be aware of what we're putting out during a new moon, because uh, we are planting seeds. So you want to be really careful the way you plant the seed, which is another good reason to take a little rest where we can this week, I think, just so that we are caring for ourselves and planting those seeds as well as possible. So there's been so much happening in Libra lately that I feel like we're also just in a place where we have some new strategies for harmony and peace that we didn't have before. You know, it's been a dynamic Libra season. As planets move into Libra, they ignite this air grand trine, and that ignites the outer planet triangle that we've been working with all summer. If you follow the horoscopes on my channel, you've heard me talk about these things, or you can check out your horoscopes for October. Even September is still really worth watching at this point, with eclipse season being so powerful. You'll notice that Libra's really been going through a lot. And I think that part of what we learn through having Libra transits is we learn about peace and harmony. You know, Libra is always trying to balance those scales. And so the energy can sort of be very, very beautiful, very, very peaceful, but it's through hard effort. It's through constant examination and evaluation of how to gain that peace, how to gain that harmony, where the scale needs a little adjusting. So this new moon, we might have some new strategies for not just harmony and peace and how to bring that in for ourselves and our lives, but also for how to work that in with our relationships. New strategies for harmony in partnerships. And those things are probably connected. You know, I think about how we had the South Node working through Libra from 2023, 2024, and into early 2025. And we were letting go of negative Libra tendencies during that time. So we let go of, we were working on releasing, for example, people pleasing tendencies, a tendency to sort of disappear, bury our own needs or our own thoughts and feelings in order to get along well. We've released that. You know, that was work that we did in 2023 through 2025, and it changed us. And so these relationships now, we have new ways of entering into them. Some relationships may have gone, some new ones may have come in. Great ones are strengthening, ones that need strengthening are showing that. And it's sort of an opportunity for a new chapter in relationships. With everything that's happened in this part of the chart, it signifies that many of us may be going through a period where we are sort of beginning again from this place of having more authenticity, which is a word that literally has been used so much lately that it's overused. What a great word to be overused. Everyone really understanding the importance of this for work, for relationships, and not performed authenticity, right? Not someone trying to act sincere, someone actually being authentic and taking care of ourselves enough that we can be authentic. I think if everyone's so run down and stressed, like when you're feeling extremely run down, stressed out, maybe is a better way to say it. It can be very hard to kind of show up as your authentic self because you feel like, I can't show this. I can't show my stress or my anxiety or my fear or my worry or my tiredness or my anger. But if you're caring for yourself enough, if you're accepting your emotions and your feelings and your opinions rather than pushing back against them all the time, if you're caring for yourself along the way, minimizing those relationships that don't feel great and maximizing the ones that do, then it's a little bit easier to show up in relationships and be authentic. And from that place, we're beginning these new chapters. We're planting seeds of harmony that will bloom for ourselves and in our relationships. We're collaborating in new ways. We could get opportunities to collaborate this week on teams or on projects or with people where it feels especially meaningful, where it feels supportive. It does feel like sort of the beginning of a new cycle here, not just because it's a new moon, but because of everything else that's going on in the sky. And I think that that means new beginnings in relationships, new beginnings for peace, a fresh perspective on things, a new way of seeing things, a fresh perspective on others, understanding others and their actions through this wiser lens, from a place of having insights about dynamics, understanding about different ways of connecting and what's possible. That's sort of giving us a new perspective on others that's helpful. And that's part of what's bringing in these new strategies. I think that this new moon is just wonderful for inviting in peace, inviting in enjoyment and pleasure and harmony wherever possible. Um, it really is encouraging us, a full moon in Libra, to bring in beauty and joy into daily life, into relationships, grace, right? Letting things go a little bit. I mean, and if you're like me, I have a lot to do this week. There's a lot going on. I don't really know how much time I have, but if I can think about little ways along the way to bring this in, I think it's really helpful. It's very intentional energy. It's intentional building energy, this new moon in Libra. And I think if we use it that way, it can be helpful. We can build some little self-care practices into our routines. We can be intentional about our mindset and the way we talk to ourselves. We can be intentional about the relationship energy that's building around this time. I think all of that is really possible. So that's sort of the big picture on the new moon all by itself. But like I said, there's all these other things happening in the chart that I want to mention too before we get to the Q&A. And what I love about it is how much it all really is kind of focused on this Jupiter. Because this Jupiter is a highlight in the sky. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It's been here for a while, so we're getting used to it. But this is part of why we're bringing in this this care and this nurturing. We're understanding and appreciating the power of nurturing, of compassion for ourselves and for others with Jupiter working through Cancer. That's part of what this signature suggests. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It's Jupiter's favorite place to be. We also have Venus here, which is at home in Libra. Let's see, let's just draw the connection up to that. I don't want to clutter the chart so much that we can't read it anymore. I am too often guilty of that. So, well, all right, let's just give Venus a circle. So Venus is here in Libra as well, and Venus is at home in Libra. And so Jupiter and Venus building toward an eventual trine here is quite lovely. Um, I think that when we get to these water trines in November that involve um, the water sign parts of the chart, it actually will be quite a while, but all of these planets are headed to Scorpio. When they get into Scorpio, they make these aspects through all the water trines. It's so nice. The astrology of Scorpio season in general is really nice with those water trines, but we've had air trines. Anyway, both Jupiter and Venus are very happy here. And so there's a more availability than usual for good feelings, positive emotions, um, positive self-talk, compassion and grace for others, all of those things. This is sort of an agitated aspect, this T-square here, that is between the sun and Chiron and the moon as well during the new moon and Jupiter. And it can be an irritating aspect, but there's so much potential for healing as well. And the fact that it's connecting to this Mars Mercury. See, I don't even know what to put on this chart. There's just too much to highlight. There's just too much to talk about. But this Jupiter is connecting. Let's just do it like this. This Jupiter is connecting to the sun and the moon and to Chiron, and they're connecting to each other. That suggests the potential for some extra healing as a part of this cycle, some turning of wounds into wisdom. I will attach a video at the end of this one that I did over the weekend that goes into this in more detail. It also goes into the Mars-Mercury conjunction in Scorpio, which is trine the North Node. This is kind of giving us like a fated feeling, like all of this is kind of meant to be. It really is right. It's good timing. Things are lining up nicely. And this is connecting to the to Jupiter as well. So is Saturn from over in Pisces. So everything is kind of coming back to this Jupiter signature in some ways. There's just a lot of very interesting astrology tying in here in terms of this being a really lovely new moon. It's a really, really lovely new moon. And it's extra important that we enjoy the loveliness of the new moon because it's falling at the end of the Libra cycle. And we don't have the South Node in Libra anymore, like we have forever. So that in and of itself makes it kind of nice. We've released that people pleasing. We have Venus all happy in Libra. It's really quite a lovely aspect. So I think I am going to leave it there. I don't want to cloud this up too much. I just want to stay with a little bit of a simple explanation for this particular report. I could sort of go through the Jupiter Chiron T-square stuff and the Mercury Mars North Node stuff, but honestly, it's really the same thing that we had in the report for the weekend. So I think I'm just going to attach that here. And if you're interested in that, check that out. I want to go through my chat here, but I want to say first a thank you to my members, Lucy, Virginia, and Mouch Vesta. And I want to thank CJ and Sackloyd and Cheryl and Jackie for the supers. This support really means so much. It allows me to put a little more time into this channel, and it's just really appreciated. So the way I have it set up now, if you're a member, you get sort of priority in the comments. There are some special Hubble telescope emojis that come with it and some special badges, but mainly you're just getting a lot of thanks from me. You know, some people have been wondering about how to support the channel in this way, and I appreciate it so much. It really does allow me to kind of put more and more time here, which is great. So I appreciate all of you, and just thank you for watching as well. That is a huge support for the channel. So I had a thought about memberships, and I wanted to know what you all thought. What I was thinking was that if I had, say, 3 members in a live chat, that I could switch it over to a members only live chat. And from that space, we could talk more about the transit. You know, I try to keep these videos pretty tight, pretty interesting, pretty appealing on a mass level. But if we want to get down into it a little bit more, if people want to ask questions in a little bit more depth, I was thinking that opening up a members only live stream, it would just automatically click in at the end of these lives, where if I had 5 members present, maybe 3 members, maybe 5 members, we could switch it over to members only live streams. So I was wondering what you thought of that idea. I'm trying to think of different ways to expand this channel and connect with all of you. So let me know what you think of that. And I'm going to go ahead and check out my comments. Good morning to everyone. And good morning, Miss Tell. Hi. Nice to see you. Miss Tell has been here since this channel was teeny tiny. And I really appreciate everyone who's here. I have a special place in my heart for some of those people who've been here forever. I also want to mention that checking out my October horoscopes by rising sign, if you know your rising sign, would show where all of this is falling for you. I talked about the new moon there and the Mars-Mercury conjunction, trine the North Node, and everything that's going on with Jupiter. That's all in that weekly report. I also just wanted to say that I love how supportive all of you are of each other in the comments. I appreciate you saying thank you to me and all those nice things that you say, but I also just really appreciate how supportive you are of each other. I loved when someone was asking about saying they were a little bit confused because they keep hearing that there's a 13th sign. And so I said, well, no, there really isn't. And I should do a separate video about that, explaining why that's really not an astrological thing. And then someone else said, you're a Virgo like me. And I just thought it was so nice. And, you know, just sort of discussing like rising signs, specific transits with each other, and astrology in general, and providing a little support when someone is expressing that these times are difficult, you know, that they're hopeful, but that they're struggling. And I love the way that everyone is supporting each other in these comments. It's just really, really wonderful to see. I'm going to link to a video here about Jupiter and Cancer. And I'm going to link to the video about the T-square and that Mars-Mercury North Node trine that I did over the weekend. That's relevant too. I don't think there are any other questions in the comments. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week ahead. Happy Libra new moon.